My first question, of course, tell me a little bit about Harvey, who this guy is, where
Did
he is in his life.
so? I was going to say, did you see the movie? But now I
Yes, I
get
saw
it's
the
in there.
movie, loved
Okay,
the movie.
Harvey. Harvey is a guy who unfortunately didn't wind up doing what his passion. Let me see, rephrase it. Harvey wanted to be a jazz pianist, and he wasn't good enough. And somehow, as life happens, I'll start over. Harvey wanted to be a jazz pianist, wound up being a guy who wrote jingles. That's already a problem that he has. And he got divorced, and it wasn't amicable, which I do think is an oxymoron. And he has a daughter that he has a very strained relationship with. And the film starts off, she's getting married in London to a British guy, and he's taking off from work at a point where they think he's, old. It's time to bring in the younger people, and he's holding onto the job by his fingernails, and he has to go to this wedding uh, for his daughter, where they really haven't spoken for a few years, and see an ex-wife who's now happily married to a guy that she certainly enjoys more than she did me. So that's Harvey.
Your character, of course, just seems very real. Did you bring any of yourself into this role, or is it autobiographical in any way?
Yes, the director, Joel Hopkins, knew Emma Thompson, and he said he wrote this with us in mind because he knew that Emma and I were looking for a movie to do because we had just two scenes in a film called Stranger Than Fiction. And when I got the script, I felt that he nailed Emma because he had a sense of Emma. I didn't feel that he got as close to me as he did to Emma. The reason was because he didn't know me. He only knew me from films that he saw. So we said, let's go to work. We all agreed that we would go to work and restructure the part so that it was closer to me, because there was strikingly personal things about Emma that are in that script. Emma is a writer. In fact, she got an Academy Award, I think, for Sense and Sensibility. She does have a mother she doesn't have that kind of relation, but her mother is a I think a famous actress, beautiful woman, and lives, I think, on the same street as Emma, and comes over for dinner many times because Emma invited me over. As far as I'm concerned, I said, well, I mean, I'm one of the few fortunate people who I'm able I'm able to work at something that is my passion, and it's so my work is not a job; it's my work. I always think a job is something you keep saying, when am I getting off and go to the bar. I did though want to be a jazz pianist. And I somehow fell into acting because I didn't have the chops, as they say, to be a good jazz pianist. And so that's autobiographical. I was married and divorced once. In fact, while I was making Kramer versus Kramer. So that reality is in it. I have luckily, a wonderful relationship with all of my kids that I can count on two hands. So that was put into the script. But in terms of the question of how close is it to me and how close is it to Emma, when Emma and I worked together on Stranger Than Fiction, something happened that was unusual for both of us. In a very short period of time, there was a kind of an openness that went beyond just when you're working with other actors. Suddenly there we were telling each other, our life stories. There was a kind of kinship there. We felt creatively married, if you will. And we said, if we ever find a movie to do together again, maybe we can use that simple, open reality that we had when we worked on Stranger Than Fiction. And when this script came along, we said, let's do that. In fact, the director at one point said very early on, because we agreed that we would improvise and, it would be nevertheless with the agreement of the director, we'd say, well, instead of saying that, we'll say this, or we won't let the other actor know what we're going to say, so there's a constant surprise. And at one point, the director said, "This is a little unsettling for me because I don't know when you're acting or when you're just talking." And we said, "Well, that's exactly what we are trying to do in this film." I mean, every actor tries to be real, but we were trying to go one step beyond that. And sometimes the only way to do that is because actors know what the next line is. So if you don't say the next line as written, then what happens? And if you can keep it within the
And I
story.
imagine it would take a very special director to sort of allow that to happen, that relationship to happen. So working with Joel Hopkins.
This is Joel's second film. I saw his first film, and I thought, gee, what a promising career this guy has. And Emma knew him. I didn't. It was a difficult hurdle for him because he said, "Where's my words?" And I convinced him. It took a while. I said, "Some films you say every word. Some films you can open a little. Some films you can open it even more, especially if you have two cameras, because then you don't have to try to remember what the improvisation was when you turn around because you're in both directions at once." Kramer was done the way this film was done in terms of the relationship between me and the boy, Justin Henry. Tootsie was improvised, particularly between me and Bill Murray. Bill Murray didn't say one word that was in the script. That's all his own, you know.
And really quickly, I know I'm just getting wrapped up here in
Don't let her
30,
do that.
about 30
Don't let her
seconds
do
or less.
that.
Do you have a particular scene in this film that resonates with you the most, really quickly? Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite moment?
Well, sure. I guess, I mean, two scenes. I'd have to say the wedding scene because my wife and I actually wrote that scene or speech the night before I did it, and I had asked the director to have several cameras because I didn't want to rehearse it, and I just wanted to see what happened the first time it came out. So what the audience sees is literally the first take. And the following scene with Emma where we're sitting next to each other and she starts to reveal a very painful memory. And the reason I named these two scenes is because of the connection we had with each other in both of those scenes. I think we got as close as we were hoping to get.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love
Did
the
you
film.
really like it?
I really liked